So recently I'm reading Matthew chapter 20. And in Matthew chapter 20, verse 28, there's a verse that you and I are probably very familiar with. Jesus said, "Even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." If you're a Christian, you've probably heard that verse at some point. If not, you'll hear it. And it's an important verse. It's a great image of Jesus, God in the flesh, coming to earth to teach, to instruct, to heal, but as Jesus said, also to serve. I mean, we can't even comprehend how low he had to lower himself to come here amongst people who, many of them rejected him, mocked him, eventually beat him, had him killed, placed in a borrowed tomb, rose again, and then said, nope, that didn't happen. I mean, there are some places that if you said, hey, I need you to run an errand with me, we're going to go here, like Walmart, I'd say, yeah, I think I'm probably out on that. Probably not going to do that. There's some places around town, people say, hey, you want to eat here or there? I'm going to go, nah, not going to do that. And yet, Jesus did. I mean, he came here and he set this example for us. And I love the idea, don't you? I love the idea that Jesus came to serve and to be this example. And it's great until you recognize, okay, now you and I are supposed to do the same thing. We move into verse 29. There's two blind guys. And as they went out of Jericho, a great crowd followed him. And behold, there were two blind men sitting by the roadside. When they heard that Jesus was passing by, they cried out, "Lord, have mercy on us, Son of David." The crowd rebuked them, telling them, "Be silent." But they cried out even more. Can you imagine that? If you and I are doing something for Jesus. I mean, seriously. If we're like bragging on Jesus and someone said, "Be quiet," you said, "Oh, I'm going to ramp it up a notch." I remember when I first got saved. This is going to sound strange, I know. But when I first got saved, I was at this job. And I think it was the song, "Our God is an Awesome God." You ever heard that song? I don't even know who sings it. But our God is an awesome God who reigns, whatever. And for whatever reason, I just sang it. Like I just felt like singing it. And the employees are around and stuff. And a buddy of mine who was working here looked at me and said, "Shut up." You know, well, one, because I'm a bad singer, but two, he didn't want to draw any attention to us, and he didn't want us to stand out and be weirder than we were. And I thought, why? Why would I stop singing? I hate to say it. Here I'm years later, probably haven't done that since. I'm not blaming him. I'm blaming myself. We should be letting it rip, right? We should. What do we got to lose? Well, these guys said, we got nothing to lose. Stopping, Jesus called them and said, "What do you want me to do for you?" Does Jesus not know that they're blind? Probably fairly obvious, right? That they're blind, given their predicament. Probably the condition of the men sitting there and where they're sitting, and they said, "Lord, let our eyes be open." And Jesus in pity touched their eyes, and immediately they recovered their sight and followed him. These blind guys needed help beyond anything their culture could offer. There was no ointment, there was no treatment, there was no amount of sacrifices, there was no amount of money or donation or anything that they could possibly give. There was nothing in their power that they could do, and there's nothing in the power of the culture and the day in which they lived that anybody could help them out of their predicament. That's their lot in life. You're born blind, or they became blind. Maybe they sinned. Maybe their parents sinned. Maybe something happened that we don't know about, and that's their punishment. Yet Jesus had pity on them. He healed them. He conquered what culture could do nothing about. And he still does that today. Now, I know we're talking, on one hand, you can talk about miracles as Jesus healed blind people today, and the deaf and the lame. And sure, sometimes that happens. Sometimes it doesn't happen. But Jesus is still opening the eyes of the blind. There are times, that I walk around and I'm blind to the predicament of other people. Even as selfish as I can be, I'm blind to the predicament of myself. I need to ask the Lord, open my eyes to see Jesus and see opportunities the way that he does. You see, if you follow along in the Gospel of Matthew at this point, Jesus is making his way towards the cross. In these guys' minds, they don't know that. But here's what they do know. This might be our only chance to see if Jesus can do something about our predicament. This might be it. And so they say, we don't care what the crowd's telling us. We got nothing to lose. Brother, here's where I'm at. And I hope you're there too. This might be our only chance. I mean, honestly, you might pass by somebody today that might be your only chance to reflect Jesus. I might run up on somebody in my neighborhood or wherever I'm at. That might be my only chance. Or another way of looking at it is, there are people that this could be our last chance. And so like these blind men, we need to cry out first and foremost to the Lord. Heal my blind eyes. Help me see what I'm missing. And secondly, we need to have the courage to act on it, to do something about it. Look, the way I look at a lot of things in life, God has already done his part. He's waiting for you and I to do ours. Amen? Hey, just a thought. I'll talk to you in a bit.